my counselors are going to stand still. It's a struggle. I know, but I'm going to ask questions. So who can tell me, who can raise their hand and tell me? Looking at you, girl. Turn around. All right. Who can tell me, why do we need to know how to switch pigs? Like, what is the judge trying to challenge you to do? Anybody? Yes, ma'am. To see if you can work somebody else's pig, right? Absolutely. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have our showman begin. We're going to judge to me, the judge. Show to me, the judge. All right, Tina. Where are you? All right, and they're going to be nice and spread out. They're looking at me, the judge. And I'm going to say, Jessica and Tina switch, Blaine and Hannah switch. All right, so now, pause. Which pair can you tell me did it right? Anybody know? Yes. Blaine and Hannah, right? So what do you know what they did right? Yes, sir. They switched their whips. What else did they do? You know, Preston. They drove their pigs to each other, right? On day one, we taught you don't ever abandon your pig in the show ring. So even when the judge tells you to switch pigs with somebody, you drive your pigs to each other, and then you switch whips, and you switch brushes. Who can tell me why you may switch whips and brushes? Like biosecurity? Yeah, for sure.
Some pigs only react to some types of whips.
Absolutely.
Mine didn't react to the green whip, and it only reacted to that blue whip.
Exactly. It's what they are used to, right? So we switch our whips because that is what that pig is used to. So now go ahead and get started. Go ahead and keep Sean. And then I'm going to have you switch back. So we're all going to watch. They're all going to do it right this time. So everybody switch back to your original pig. So they drove together, they switched the brushes and their show sticks, and then they just started driving right away. All right? It's as easy as that. Now, what do you do if one person starts driving towards you, or you switch with somebody that doesn't know how to switch pigs? Any ideas? Yes, absolutely. So if you have another person that you're switching with that doesn't know what to do, you can say, okay, switch my brush and switch your whips. All right, so you can take charge of those situations. The judge is watching to see what you can handle and what you know to do. All right, you guys can all stop. Another thing to do when you switch pigs, two really important things. One, I always did a quick overview to make sure that animal was clean. I didn't take a bunch of time, but as I was starting, I checked to make sure there was no shavings on them. So yesterday, I said there are 3 trouble zones. I'm going to challenge you to see if you were listening to me. Feels like maybe not. All right, so 3 trouble zones that I always check when I was in the holding pen. What's one? Their jowl, yes. Their back, their hop, right? Where else? Their underline, right? Wow, great job, everybody. Okay, so their jowl, their underline, and their rear hops. Those are the areas that I was checking. Because how fun would it be if you catch that somebody else's pig was dirty when they didn't catch it themselves, all right? And something that's really important, if it ever comes time that you do have to switch pigs, stay calm, all right? When you are on somebody else's animal, you do not overhit them, you do not mistreat that animal, you have to come in with a nice, calm demeanor, no matter how stubborn their pig may be. You need to come in and just try and do your very best. Don't give up, don't get frustrated. If they get in your corner, keep working on it. We saw some kids in the classes after lunch where their pigs were being brats. They were loud, they were fighting, they were stubborn, all right? But those showmen kept at it. You didn't see them pitching a fit, you didn't see them get their animals really hard, and you didn't see them quit, all right? They kept on it. If I am a judge and I see somebody that's still working their butt off at the very end of the day, final drive, and they've been putting in their very best, I'm obviously going to reward them for that behavior, all right? So keep at it, keep a nice, calm, positive attitude, and then when you switch back, look over your pig again, make sure it's clean, and then get started right away. that they faced in the show ring. All right, so when it comes time to that final drive, the judge will do anything to get you to mess up. And instead of me just standing here talking to you, I'm gonna have them go down, choose one thing at a time, just keep passing until we kind of run out of challenges that we face.
So this isn't only a challenge that I face, but this is a challenge that I like to put exhibitors through when I'm judging showmanship. One is an age-old trick. Age-old trick. A lot of times the judge will come and stand this close to a gate. And what we're looking for is we want to see who can get their pig through here. Because a lot of times it bottlenecks up and people, they get in a crowd. So we want to see who can get their pigs through. And while you're coming through, I want to see your eyes. A lot of times I'm not going to stare right at you because I want to look at your pig too, but I'll be able to tell if you're looking at me. So if a judge comes and does this, they want you to walk through, walk around, come back through as many times until they step away. Okay?
One that I've experienced is the judge will open all of the holding pen gates and the exit gate, and then they'll just say if your pig goes in the holding pens or out the exit gate, you can just excuse yourself from the ring. So in that position, if you have a stubborn pig, just make sure you keep it in the middle and you do your best to not let it go through the gates, but just be aware of where those gates are.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's two ways you can do it. You can either, preferably, I like to see somebody come through here, do a small circle, and then come back, rather than just keep doing laps around, but it doesn't matter. Right, absolutely. Exactly, so the goal is to just get through here as many times as you can. But if you can, that's personal preference on me. I like it if you can come through, do a small circle, and then come back.
I think
There's a few factors involved with that. So one, if there's only space for about one pig to come through, and there's a bunch that are coming one way and you're trying to come the other way, that's gonna be pretty tough on you, right? So it's more important that you just try and get in front of the judge as much as possible in those situations and not worry so much on how exactly you're doing that, but just getting in front of the judge, even doing hot laps around her. But if there's only a few of you in there and there's plenty of space, then they can come both ways through. So the real thing is set yourself up for success. So if you see that there's a bunch coming this way, it's gonna be real hard for you to break those pigs up and barrel on through those without getting your pig dirty and without messing you up. So it is a situation by situation, but your goal is to get in front of the judge as many times as possible.
So I think one of the things that I've been under quite a bit, it might be just in the Northwest, but a judge will pick up shavings and throw it on the back of your pig, and the judge will see how well you clean it off and how quick you clean it off too. So.
They may not throw it. They may be real nonchalant. Just kind of or they might not have shavings at all, so just get close and touch.
That's you just paying attention. That's you just paying attention. What Blake said, Blaine says, I've had that done in Perry before, and if you know you've shown on carpet, I've had judges just run their fingers across the back, and they just want to acknowledge that you paid attention, you know what they've done.
So what the correct thing to do is to
I pull your brush out, take your brush off, acknowledge that you're saying this.
Nope, no brush and go.
Keep moving. And as soon as the judge looks away, then I might do one over real quick just to make sure I didn't miss anything and have it really clean.
Yeah, keep moving at all times, because that's it's not hard at all for you to keep driving, grab the brush, do it real quick, and like Jessica said, you're still maintaining the eye contact. The judge wants to see what you're gonna do, how you're gonna react to that situation. So as soon as you break eye contact, you can then do a quick one over to make sure that you got everything off of them. But it's more important the judge knows that you know what you're doing by just getting that brush out and starting the brush right now.
So my thing, the biggest, or one of the ones that I see that judges do a lot, and I've had it done to me, and I think it's fun to do too, is to get your pig to stop in the ring. So judges will say, stop your pig. The best thing I've found to do is drop in front of their head, let them chew on the end of your stick, let them chew on your brush, just anything, scratch them to keep them occupied and staying still. Practice this at home a lot. I would do this all the time when I was walking my pigs at home. But don't let them lay down. Don't let them get so comfortable that they just fall over and then you've got to work to try to get them back up. Also, if you are doing that, the judge can still move around in front of you or behind you. So keep that ham sandwich. Just kind of work your way around the pig so that you don't ever break that ham sandwich.
All right, we got a lot of these. All right, so another challenge that I have faced, the judge will open up the scales. If you have scales in your show ring, they'll open up both ends of the scale and say, all right, walk your pig across the scale. That's something to practice at home. Pigs don't really love a scale, even if you have, especially if you have a scale in the ring, you never really know what's going to happen in a show. But for me, it's just something I 1,000,000,000% recommend. If you have a scale at home and you're weighing your pig regularly, don't ever give a shot at a scale. Don't do anything that gives that animal a negative idea of what's going to happen in that scale. Because for us, we didn't have we had one of these pull downs that we had to have them as still as possible to get the correct weight. So we want them to be nice and relaxed in there. The first few times, it's a stressful scenario, but we weighed our pigs weekly, and so that's just something. Don't do anything negative in those scales, no shots, no medication, nothing, because you don't want them to have a negative connotation of what going into the scale means, especially because it's no fun when I've seen it, like they get up to the scale and then nobody's there to help them, and they run all the way down, and the Arizona National Show Ring is like twice as long as this show ring, and it was quite an ordeal, and the girl felt a little embarrassed, I'm sure. So, practice moving them through small spaces, and that will go too with what Tina had originally talked about.
Another situation, particularly in older showmanship divisions that judges may put your top exhibitors in, is they may ask them to answer a question on the microphone. A lot of people get anxiety when it comes to public speaking. I'm not one of those people, but some people do, and that's totally fine. So there's a handful of key things that we have to keep in mind when it comes to talking on a mic. First things first, make sure that you answer the question. So if the judge asks you, what is your favorite part about showing pigs? Don't talk about the football game you went to last week. Make sure that you answer the question that the judge was given. When it comes to the microphone, Kaylee likes to put it on her chin, which works out swimmingly because then you're not talking way too close to it. If you put it on your chin, you're about to set yourself up for success, that it's not going to be too loud or too soft. Another thing is you want to make sure that you are addressing the crowd and you're not talking like this or talking to the corner. And the third thing I would say when it comes to talking on the microphone is to just, if you are not comfortable public speaking, keep your answer short and sweet. That's no problem at all. If you are comfortable public speaking, by all means, answer the question with a 5-paragraph essay. I guess what I'm getting at is, don't let the microphone scare you. The judge really, they just want to hear your answer to whatever question they ask. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a very open-ended, very simple question.
Just to add on to that, so I do not like public speaking. I am an introvert, and a lot of you probably are too, and you may not believe me because I've been talking in front of you all weekend. But the reason that I started putting the mic on my chin is, one, I heard a lot of people, I'd see them, and they'd have the mic all the way down here, and most of the time, they're not as loud as I am, so you couldn't hear a single answer that they had to say. And two, if you're nervous and maybe your hand's a little shaky, holding it here kind of steadies that. But just to add on to what Tana said, the judge is asking you an opinion-based question almost always on the mic, and that's because they want to see your public speaking skills, they want to see what you can do. They're not trying to embarrass you. They're trying to push you outside of your comfort zone, all right? So the first time I had to speak on the mic was in a showmanship class. And parents, I've talked that I am an emotional person. Some of you saw me cry about Alan Trebek recently. But I have cried on a microphone at World Pork Expo, and it was incredibly embarrassing, and I had to take a breather and restart, all right? So, just stay nice and calm. The question was, who's my biggest role model in the industry? If you're not emotional about the person that you look up to, reevaluate, all right? You love that person and you're thankful for them. So I just had to take a breather and get started again. But for Tana, like if this was the line of people and the judge gives off the mic, what you're gonna do is you're gonna step forward. You're gonna separate yourself from the other line of people and then just do your best from there.
The next thing that I've had happen to me several times is the judge will say, or come up and take your whip from you, take the whip from everyone in the ring, and you just gotta use your hands, your brush, whatever you have with you. And so I would take out my brush, and that's when I would worry more about just getting the pig going and moving, and worry less about the head. You're gonna have a hard time getting the head up, getting the pig moving if you just have your hands or a brush. So just make long passes, just get those side views in while you can, and just go from there. But the biggest thing I would say is personally don't worry about the head in that situation.
So I've never had to deal with this before, but I've seen it happen. Actually in California, at the Stanislaus County Fair, the judge actually drew a big circle in the middle of the ring. He called about 6 people into that ring. He had you stop the pigs. Then he would just bolt through, and you had to do your crossovers and make sure you have the ham sandwich. That was a big one. And then really quick, I want to say another one. But he also had this ring had 2 gates. He had an entrance and an exit. He actually had them walk around the ring with the gates open, and you have to stay in a single file line. You couldn't pass anyone, and you couldn't have anyone pass you. So that's a very tricky one, in the top 5 at a major show, but I think that one's kind of tricky. But that one's a lot of fun too. So.
Alright, I've had this one done several times to me, and this is where practicing your figure eights comes in handy. I've had judges bring the sorting boards like we have in the ring here, put 2 of them out in the middle of the ring, and you have to do figure eights through those sorting boards while the judge is running circles around you, so making you do your crossovers and not break your ham sandwich. I've had it done with sorting boards, and I've had it done with people, and I've had it done with bags of shavings. It's a really popular one, especially at some of the smaller jackpot shows where they can spend a little more time. But that goes to practicing at home, practicing your figure eights, and also letting that hog be aware of moving around and different things happening. Because I don't know if many of you are like me, but I'm an only child. I don't have little siblings that I can make run around the hogs for me. I have cats and dogs, so I would drive the hogs around cats and dogs all day just to get them comfortable with something else besides me, or trees or buckets, something that doesn't move, something that's moving that is different to them. That's mainly the thing that will help when you're doing those figure eights, for them to be comfortable with the judge moving and with you moving around them also.
Perfect. All right, does anybody have any questions? I know that was a lot, and I believe me, there are so many miscellaneous challenges, and the one thing that comes out of, I'd say almost all of those besides the speaking on the mic, is it all comes down to how well you can control your animal. So it's not just stamina, it's control. When your pig is ready and you think it's showmanship ready, make sure you're ending your training day, you're working on your animal with some sort of figure eight, some sort of challenge to make sure they know that you are in control. So, does anybody have any questions? All right. Oh, yes ma'am. You're going to be real loud up there. Yep, so like Tana and I were saying, so if you're standing far from the gate, your goal is to just get in front of the judge as much as possible. So if there's a bunch of pigs in the ring and they're all going and you can't get turned around and come back, because right here it's going to be kind of difficult, right? If the judge is here, you're not going to be able to go here and turn around easily and then come back through. You're going to have to go around and keep circling around. So it's situation by situation, and your goal is just get in between the judge and the fence there as much as possible, all right? So don't really stare them down when you go through. All right, any other questions? Yeah, what's up? when we're gonna have the showmanship contest. That's gonna start at 3 o'clock, but all right. So now that he just wrapped it up, which is totally fine, we're gonna head into the classroom and we're gonna.
So we start with 1s at the bottom, 3s. We go around the corner, we got 9s. Closest to the head are 27s. And then on the very tips are jazz hand, 81s. Tana's the only one not doing jazz hands, so now you got it. All right, so these,
and then I stopped.
going around their ears, you'll notice the notches get bigger as you go around. So again, 1, 3, 9, 27, jazz hands, 81s. Tana's the only one that was cheerleader up here, and she didn't even do them to start.
I was a cheerleader in the 7th grade.
Still counts. All right, so what I want everybody to do, parents included, is stand on up. Stand on up. All right, so I want you to do the motions, and we're going to say what the number is, and we're going to all do jazz hands on 81s. If you don't do it, we're going to do it again. All right, looking at you, dads. Just saying, most of the time, dads, you're not too cool for jazz hands, all right? So, let's get started. 1, 3, 9, 27, 81. How was Tana louder than everyone? We gotta do it again, all right? I don't want to hear Tana, so I want to hear you loud and proud, all right? Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 3, 9, 27, 81. Beautiful job, everyone. Thank you.
We'll be back over that way a little bit. Okay.
Another really good group of juniors here, and I echo what I said earlier about pigs just not wanting to cooperate quite as well with us this afternoon, and that's totally understandable. I know that this is the beginning of the circuit shows, I guess, and so I know that a lot of these dogs, this has been their first time out, and I understand the frustration I feel for all of these kiddos. One thing that we just need to focus on, I think, as a group in this age division is making sure that we're keeping those pigs moving and we're keeping control of these pigs as best we can and making sure that they go where we want them to go and that we're not just following these pigs around. But overall, a really good group of kids. Really excited to get these 6 out to rework them again. So let's give them all a round of applause as these hands go back to the wall. a really, really deep class here in our final class of intermediates. I don't know if I took any more time on this class, but I sure felt like it because there were a lot of really good showmen in here. It's just a lot of nitpicky little things that set these apart. I talked to the last class about spacing, and I'm going to reiterate that with this group of people right here. We need to make sure that we're finding that sweet spot where we're not too close, we're not too far away, we're consistently finding ourselves right here in the middle of the ring, right in my eye shot. Something else I want to reiterate or talk about, I don't know if I have yet or not, is how we use our whip. We talked about it all weekend. If our hogs are moving, we don't need to be touching them. We're just going to guide them with that whip. I know it's kind of a nervous habit to just continue to tap on them, but we've really got to cut that out. In an ideal case scenario, the only time you've got to touch your pig is to turn them, and that's 2 taps and we're done. So just something to think about as you guys are at home practicing with these hogs. Let's give them a round of applause here.